First of all, I wish to welcome all of you in this prestigious hall of Palais de Gaumont and to thank all the authorities, representative of the NATO EU institutions who have decided to contribute and to participate in this conference on interconnected security threats. My special welcome and thanks go to all those foreign personalities and guests who have joined us from so many different countries to enrich our common discussion in a true spirit of cooperative security. I greet the delegates of the 37 national been here in Brussels for the 61st General Assembly of the Atlantic Treaty Association that we conducted and we ended yesterday evening successfully. And I want to take also this occasion to salute those that are following now in this very moment by live stream in other 30 and more countries around. They are watching us, and they will put eventually questions on by Twitter at the hashtag ATABXL for Brussels, so ATABXL. The organization of this international conference stems from the ATA increasing commitment to play an active and constructive role in this new security scenario. And let me say that in times of globalization of insecurity, there is no country or international organization alone that can effectively tackle the complex and interconnected threats and security challenges, and first and foremost, terrorism. And when we're talking about terrorism, I would like to refer in this very moment, before we start our proceedings, to the dismay caused by the latest terrorist attacks in Paris. This is something that is alive inside all of us and will accompany our daily lives for long. And so before we start our proceedings, let me ask to all of you for a minute of silence that I think is due to mourn the victims of such a horrific violence. Authorities, dear members and partners of ATA, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, for more than 60 years now, ATA is engaged in raising awareness and international cooperation on security issues to promote and safeguard our fundamental values, the values that today are under attack. We are talking about democracy, we are talking about respect of the rule of law, peace and stability. Even though terrorism is not a new phenomenon in the security scenario, since Gavrilo Princip was, let me say, with his act starting World War I, the new terrorist threat we are facing today has unprecedented features that needs to be taken into account when we are going to develop more effective countermeasures. Emblematic of the new dimension of the fight against terrorism is the increasing number of homegrown and foreign fighters. Sometimes they are confused with freedom fighters, while on the contrary they are devoted to destroy freedom and to hit in an uncivilized manner our civil society. The today terrorist attacks in Paris, yesterday 9/11 in New York, are accompanied by tens of thousands of other innocent victims in Europe, in the Mediterranean, in the Middle East, in Asia, and all across the entire world. Today, terrorism is spread worldwide and is even more interconnected through the web for radicalization, recruitment, and training. Now is the time to act, not only to react, but it's a time to act with a cooperative security approach and an effective strategic vision able to address all the aforementioned dimensions of terrorism. In my opinion, we have three different dimensions, three different layers that we have to take into consideration when we are speaking about counter-terrorist strategies. We have an international dimension that we have to take into consideration, a national one, and a more individual one that probably is becoming more and more relevant. And I will try to say something of this, on these issues that will be the issue that is going to be addressed by the first session of our proceedings. Because the unprecedented features of the new terrorism require the international organization and the member states to update and harmonize their different counter-terrorist strategies to devise more effective countermeasures. The solidarity clause of the Lisbon Treaty that recently invoked by France, I refer to the today well-known Article 42, paragraph 7, goes in that direction and demands a mutual assistance with all means available. It is even far more stringent clause than the one envisaged by the NATO-Washington Treaty. And while it increased the responsibility of the EU member states in the fight against terrorism, it will be advisable that it will lead to an increased cooperation with NATO in the framework of a true NATO-EU strategic partnership. International community seems to be heading toward cooperative security solutions against ISIS in Syria and in Iraq. In order to succeed, the relevant local, regional, and international actors are called to establish a true military cooperation, overcoming the political differences that still prevent them from fighting the same battle on the ground. And here I thank you and I welcome Minister Falah from the Kurdistan region that will going to address us and to explain the difficulties on the ground that we are facing there. However, the stabilization of the Mashrek will not be enough as ISIS is spread across the Maghreb with major outposts in Libya, Egypt, Sinai, but as well as in the Sahel and elsewhere. The former president of Mauritania is with us, and he will explain which are the challenges and threats affecting his specific region. ISIS has claimed terrorist attacks in Afghanistan, in Southwest Asia as well. Thereby, cooperative security solutions need to be implemented in the broader region if the international community is to prevail over ISIS and its ramification. While this first level of countermeasure, while the international organization have a relevant role in coordinating, supporting, enhancing the counter-terrorist action of the member states, is the primary responsibility of the national governments to take care of the security of our populations as well as the borders of our countries. So it's to national governments to continue to hold the primary responsibility for domestic, external and internal security, the protection of the critical infrastructure, and so on. This also entails the spread of a new reinvigorated security culture among our societies, among our population, as citizens have to become more and more relevant in the countermeasures that we have to adopt to defeat terrorism. This means to go to the individual dimension of the counterterrorism measures. It means to spread a culture of security, to have civilian preparedness, collecting information and protecting also the citizens that will denounce potential threats. Citizens, in my opinion, will acquire a more relevant and essential role in future counterterrorist strategies as the first sentinel, the first fundamental tile of a new security mosaic. This means to conceive educational programs able to develop a new national security culture. As President of ATA, let me say that in all these three different levels of action, ATA has a relevant role to play. In the field of counterterrorism, the Atlantic Treaty Association have been promoting international programs and regional cooperation, best practices, training initiatives for civilian and military officers, supporting national authorities and decision makers. And moreover, in close cooperation with our youth dimension, with the Youth Atlantic Treaty Association, we are investing a lot of energies and resources in educational programs aimed at developing a new national security culture. However, not even have smarter and effective action and interaction among these three different levels, the international one, the national one, the individual one, will be able to develop a more effective counter-terrorist strategy without an enhanced cooperative security approach with our partners in the Mediterranean, in the Middle East, in North Africa, and maybe beyond. In this framework, the Atlantic Treaty Association has been playing a pivotal role by conducting numerous dialogue and cooperation initiatives with like-minded organizations such as Abad Al-Turaya Consultancy and Research in Abu Dhabi and the Mediterranean Gulf Forum. And I want to thank the chief and the CEO of this center, as well as the Secretary General of the Mediterranean Gulf Forum that is present here today and yesterday, and that is supporting us with a genuine and strong cooperative approach. This conference is the height of the program of activities that we organize in partnership with them, and along the whole year, the whole 2015. We were, as I mentioned yesterday, starting analyzing the threats in Libya on how these are affecting our common security agenda. It's a common security agenda that we have between the Euro-Atlantic and the Mediterranean and Gulf region. And we are working together in favoring the adoption of shared counter-terrorist strategies and shared countermeasures in foreign area that looking to these security threats is one and indivisible. Beside terrorism, and now I'm entering in what is going to be discussed in the second panel, the rise of hybrid forms of warfare, the resumption of traditional ones embodied by the development of the fight against ISIS into a conventional conflict, and by the violent escalation of the crisis in Ukraine, call NATO and partners to enhance their capabilities and to build their capacities. The exercise Trident Juncture that has recently been completed in Italy, Spain, and Portugal reflects the new NATO level of ambition adopted in the Wales Summit of 2014 in facing the conventional and non-conventional threats and challenges of the present security scenario. On the other hand, the annual exercise Eager Lion, carried out in Jordan, and I welcome you, General Alvan, by a conspicuous group of NATO countries and partners, has reached its, if I'm not wrong, the 5th edition, bolstering defense capabilities in the region and enhancing military-to-military relationship. Moreover, new NATO programs for partner countries have also been launched. I will not mention them. They are different in terms of capabilities, capacity building, and so on. However, such a level of ambition must be backed by adequate military capabilities in order to avoid in the future the imbalance within the alliance between the resources that the member states are allocating to the defense sector and the NATO future ability to guarantee an effective collective defense. Therefore, looking to the Warsaw Summit, we need to make steps forward in addressing the 2% of the GDP for the defense budget issue. Is becoming not a priority for NATO, it's becoming mandatory for many EU NATO member countries. However, NATO countries and partners are increasingly, and now I will conclude entering in the third panel that we are going to have today, NATO countries and partners are increasingly being confronted by security challenges and threats of non-military nature that cannot be dealt with military means. Indeed, security, and I would like to have a quotation now, is today far more than a military matter. The strengthening of political consultation and economic cooperation, the development of resources, progress in education and public understanding, all these can be as important for the protection and the security of a nation or an alliance as the building of a battleship or the equipping of an army. Such words mirror exactly the features of the contemporary security scenario, but in reality, this quotation is expression of the far-sighted vision of the report on the Committee of the three on non-military cooperation that was issued 60 years ago in 1956 to enlighten us on the importance of a cooperative approach to security also in strategic non-military sectors. Radicalization, unemployment, marginalization, food and water security, climate change are non-military instability factors, creating a breeding ground for terrorists and triggering dreadful humanitarian emergencies such as the refugee one. A renewed effort by the international organization and their member states to enhance cooperative security in non-military fields is necessary to address the root causes of terrorism and the insecurity of the present times. In Europe, in the Mediterranean, in the Middle East, we do need a new vision and a proactive, not only a reactive, but a proactive, comprehensive strategy able to address the multifaceted challenges and threats to security which are increasingly coming from Africa and Asia beyond the border of the Euro-Atlantic and the Mediterranean Gulf area. In this respect, I would like to conclude to say that ATA is ready and prepared to enhance its partnership relation in the promotion of a cooperative approach to security in non-military fields, such as education, culture, human development, along the lines of the report of the Committee of Three of 6 years ago. To this end, the General Assembly of yesterday of the Atlantic Treaty Association decided for 2016 a significant initiative. On the occasion of the 6th anniversary of the report of Committee of Three on non-military cooperation, ATA decided to promote the drafting of a new report by a high-level working group, including personalities and distinguished experts from NATO member states and partners. The report will bring the concept and the recommendation drafted in 1956 by the three foreign ministers from Italy, Norway, Canada, into the 21st century. And let me say that at that time, the Italian Minister of Foreign Affairs was chairing this Committee of Three. I am particularly proud to be and to have an Italian as chairing this process after 6 years. And so the Atlantic Treaty Association, through the work, is going to strengthen once again that sense of community that, according to the report of the Committee of Three, must bind the people as well as the institution of the Atlantic nations, and today, I would like to say, must involve and be felt also by our friends in partner countries. This is the spirit underlining our conference today, and a conference in interconnected threats and the future of cooperative security. And it is in this spirit which I am glad to open this international conference